So the big question is this: how do most agents who struggle to get the information that most successful agents hoard to themselves grow and prosper without this information? That's the big question, and this video cast is the answer. Welcome to Real Estate Rockstars. I'm your host, Pat Hyben. All right, Rockstar Nation, we have a great returning guest. Been a while, right? Almost 500 episodes ago. And I've been trying to get this guy back on. Life comes at you fast, man. And this big changes have happened since I talked to him last. And I'm like, hey, dude, let's catch up. Let's find out what you're doing now. And I'm excited. I have Mr. Jeff Coates on the line. He was originally episode 277. Hell of a story. Matter of fact, so good of a story that he wrote a book about it. And I was lucky enough to be asked to do a testimonial for the book, which I did. Very well written book. Excited to have him here. So let's dig deep into all things real estate world, and life in general with Mr. Jeff Coates. Jeff, welcome back to Real Estate Rockstars.
Thanks, Pat. It's always awesome to be on the show and communicate with you and learn from you, and just super happy to call you a friend in my life for sure.
Hey, Jeff, why don't you kind of give everybody a little rundown on who you are, in case they didn't listen to the earlier episode 271, and also just to kind of brief everybody on the changes and that sort of thing. So give me a little bio, if you would, please.
A little bio. Well, I was sentenced to prison when I was 14 years old, and I did 17 years in prison. And while I was in there, I studied real estate really heavily, got out, worked at a mortgage company for a little while, got recruited to another corporate mortgage company, and wound up getting laid off there when their production was low, and had a couple friends reach out to me and say, man, you've been studying real estate. Why don't you try to get into real estate? Wound up taking the state and national or the test for real estate and passing that. And Ben Kenny had recently met Ben Kenny at the time, who's with Keller Williams, and he asked me to join his real estate team, and was on his team for about a year as a ISA on there, and wound up meeting a few guys that's at family reunion one year, and they said, man, you have a legendary story, and you're underneath a legend, and so you need to kind of branch away from that to have your own story, because you already have a legendary story. So I gave that some thought, and I wound up leaving Ben's team and creating my own real estate team in Seattle. Had that team for a little while. Had some major changes happen this year in my life where I was thinking about moving to Hawaii and growing my real estate team there. Things didn't work out in that respect. Some life changes happened and a couple setbacks, and I put my big boy pants on and went to Indonesia for a few months and wrote this book, Reset, to kind of just put in perspective how to accomplish goals, because I have accomplished many goals in my life, and everybody was like, man, you should write a book about your life. And I was like, man, I don't really want to write a book about my life. Who wants to read a book about someone's life? I want to write a book that helps change people's lives. So what I did was I wrote a book about my life and incorporated what I call the dedicated 8 and how I've accomplished a lot of the goals that I've set for myself in a short amount of time. And that's the birth of Reset, and started just kind of writing the book in Indonesia. And when I got back from Indonesia, an opportunity presented itself where I could come to Belize and work with Keller Williams in Belize. And so in September, I packed all my stuff, my dog, and flew to Belize. And I'm living over here, and I'm working with Keller Williams over here in the market center, and working with a couple teams that are here, and just enjoying life and accomplishing goals, and the way I'm accomplishing goals is exactly what I've written in this book, Following the Dedicated Eight. That's all I've done my whole life, and that's the summary.
Yeah, man, what a blast. You know, that's some crazy stuff. Well, guys, if you didn't listen to Jeff's original episode, it's actually 277. I said 271, but 277, you can scroll down or grab it on hybendigital.com. He goes into the whole story about him going to prison and coming out of prison and struggling to get his license with the state because he was a felon. And goes into that. We're not going to touch on that today. We're going to touch more about the here and now. But the one thing I want to talk to you about, Jeff, is this. So you had a pretty booming business, right? Like you were, like your team, at your peak when you were doing real estate. How many houses did you sell?
I think in our first year on the team, we sold 35 or 37 houses as a team, and I've just right out the gate. And when I say first year, I think it's even shorter than that. It's like in 9 months we did that.
And then how many years did you have your real estate team?
To be honest, just that 1 year, 2 years.
Oh, you only did it the 1 year.
Yeah, because all this stuff changed. Yep.
Okay, and then so what made you quit after a year? What made you quit? I mean, you're doing pretty good. You know what I mean? Like you're making money, you're selling houses. Tell me about that.
Well, I didn't quit. I can still sell houses in Seattle, but I don't have the team for sure. Life happened, man. Something big happened in my life. A big change happened in my life, and if I'm to be real and be honest here, I would say that I was doing pretty well. I made the most amount of money I've ever seen in my life. I had everything that I wanted: a nice car, Harley. I love my bike. Crazy, all the stuff that you want in your life, materialistically at least, I wound up having. And then this setback kind of happened in my life, and I went to Indonesia, and I think I got real back to being humble. I was like, I don't need all of this stuff, and I don't necessarily want all of this stuff, and the one thing that I've always been about in my life, if you listen to the past episode, or if you know me in person, or talking to you right now, or even what this book is about, I really want to help people change their life and help them grow. And I believe in people, and I know that people can change if they're going through a struggle. And I feel like when I was doing real estate, and when I was so focused on, I need to get more transactions, more team members, grow this team, do this, be amazing at this, be awesome at this. I feel like giving back wasn't really on my priority list as high as it was in the past. And when I went to Indonesia and really started looking into myself and who I am as a person and what I want to do with my life, I really want to just give back, and I want to change other people's lives. So when I came back, it really wasn't about having a real estate team anymore and how many transactions I can do to be amazing. It was, how can I write a book or do something that will be amazing to help somebody else change their life? And that's kind of where it's at for me right now.
That's wild. And I love your liberation, where you're just like, hey, let me try out Indonesia, and then let me try out, let me just go to Belize, right? Like a lot of people wish they could be that liberated and free. All right, so let's talk about the book a little bit. Tell me about it. What, like you got, let's talk about it, right? So it's reset, but the E in reset and the second E is a backwards E or a 3, right? So why'd you do that?
Well, gonna have to read the book, Pat. No, I'm just kidding. So, in the book, I have a friend named Big Tom, and one of the things that when real estate teams or companies across the country have hired me to speak, I talk about a pivotal moment in my life in prison, where I met this guy named Big Tom, and Big Tom told me about the 3 F's. And I don't know if we can talk about the 3 F's on here. I'm not sure what you're...
I'm curious. Go ahead. It's okay.
So the 3 F's is fight, fuck, or hit the fence. I was really worried in prison when I first got there. I talked to this guy and I was like, you know, do people get stabbed here? Do people get hurt here? Do people fight here? Do people, like, all these questions that any normal person would have about prison? And he just said, listen, man, just follow the 3 F's. And I was like, what are the 3 F's? And he was like, fight, fuck, or hit the fence. He said, if someone disrespects you, you have 3 choices. Are you going to fight them? Are you going to let them manipulate you? Or are you going to try to escape? What are you going to try to do? And so right then in that moment, I made the choice that I'm always going to fight, right? Of course. But then when I got out here and when I was in freedom, I feel like the 3 F's can apply to everybody's life out here. You know, if you have your goals and you're trying to accomplish goals and you're trying to set these goals, you can either settle, you can fight for your goals, you can run from them. So I put the 3 backwards in here to represent that pivotal moment in my life, and an attribute that I've kind of followed my whole entire life ever since he shared that with me. And so it's kind of like a dedication to him, but also, and it's better explained obviously in the book. But
yeah, no, it's great. And I love the premise, and I love the idea, you know, of choosing to fight, and how those, you know, 3 choices are, well, basically, you know, but I think that in some cases in life, you're going to do all 3, you know, or you got to make decisions to be like, okay, well, I'm going to just walk away from this, or I'm going to succumb to this, right? And just be like, let it be. I don't really care. It's not that important. Or I'm going to fight. Right. And
right. And that's really in different situations of conflict, right? Some of those are in situations of conflict, but sometimes when we are specifically talking about goals and achieving our goals, you know, some people, they're not sure what they can do, or how they can achieve a goal, or how they can work towards their goal, or what tools do they need in their tool belt to accomplish those goals. And that's what really Reset is about. It's about giving you these dedicated 8 to help you focus and start accomplishing those goals. I have ADD like nobody's business. I see a squirrel every day, multiple squirrels all the time. And so I created this book to say, how am I able to achieve my goals when I'm all over the place all the time? I'm from meeting to meeting, or from topic to topic, or I might be in an interview with you and I'm over here looking at the guys weed eating the grass outside right now or something, you know, like I'm all over. So I wrote this book saying, man, if you follow these 8 principles, these dedicated 8, you too can accomplish big goals in a big way, no matter what's going on in your life, whether you have ADD, if you're introvert, an extrovert, whatever it is. If you're comfortable in your life and you want to change, you can use this book. If you have an addiction in your life and you're trying to change and you're serious about it and you're taking responsibility and trying to move forward, you can use this book. That's kind of what my idea with this book was, is that it's a book for everybody. It's not just like a set book for somebody. You know?
You've been naughty this year. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about neglecting your real estate training. Putting off the one thing you know you need to do to get bigger commissions and more of them. Lucky for you, it's good to be bad. At least in this case. During my 12 Days of Christmas sale, you can get Rebus University's entire online course catalog at 90% off. This offer will save you over $10,000 on Rebus University's 5-star rated real estate courses. It's backed by my 30-day money-back guarantee. You've got nothing to lose. $10,000 off. You will not see this anytime soon again. Enroll today at rebussale.com. That's REBUSSALE.com, or text SALE to 444-999. That's SALE to 444-999 before midnight, December 24th. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's talk about the dedicated eight, and I want to talk about them in terms of real estate sales, because the majority of our listeners are real estate agents. First of all, let's just start at the beginning, right? What is the first one?
Spirit or aha moment. It's kind of funny. When I was inside, I just happened to catch one of Oprah's last shows on TV, and she talked about the aha moment. And I didn't realize what kind of impact that would have on my life. And so the aha moment is when you're set out to accomplish something, you have this moment inside you that you turn to. Like, if you're gonna, it's small things too. It could be as little as wanting to go to the zoo today. I want to go to the zoo today. You have this moment where your body, mind, everything comes together. You're like, I'm going to the zoo. If you want to be a real estate agent, you have this moment in your life where you're like, if you think back to when you first got licensed as a real estate agent, there was this moment in your life that you were like, I'm going to do this. I want to be a real estate agent. It's like this moment of aha, or the spirit in your body talking to you. So the first one represents that moment.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and as real estate agents, we probably have a lot of these at different different junctures, right? Where you're like, you see somebody with a team, and you see that they actually have more, hopefully, right, more free time, or they have more fun, and that's an aha moment. Or the opposite, right? You have a team and you hate it, or you have a team and you're like, my profit is a disaster. So and then you switch to being back a single agent. That is an aha moment. So we all have these, and we need to recognize them. So I love that one. Okay, what's the second one?
The next is acceptance, right? So when you kind of have this aha moment, you have to accept your circumstances and your situation. So before you can move forward, you gotta accept your surroundings, your situation. If, let's say, you're stuck at a job, let's say you're an accountant, and you're like, you love what you do because you've done it your whole life, but you want something more, you want to change.
Yes.
You have to accept that you want to change. I was talking to one guy, and he was working the corporate office, and his story's in this book. He's a friend of yours and mine. Philip, I'm not sure if you remember Philip,
Yeah,
but
yeah, from Portland.
Yeah. Yep. So he was living the corporate life, and he was like, he just had this moment where he just wanted something bigger, and he wanted to change. And it's not that anything was wrong with his life. It was just that he wanted to change, something amazing to happen for him in real estate. And so he accepted his situation. He knew that he had to keep both jobs, his corporate job, and then get into real estate. And then he was doing both for a little bit, and then he wound up getting a coach, another friend of ours, Tim Rode, and then wound up just excelling in real estate. But he accepted his situation first before he could move forward. So that would be the next one.
Yeah, like that one too. Okay, well, what about number 3?
It's going down this slope. Is once you accept your situation, you have to start coping with your surroundings and your situations. Not everybody is going to have to stay in this stage for very long, but maybe you might have to go through if you're going through like a bad breakup, for instance. If you're going through a bad breakup, that can be applied to this too. You have to go through the spirit and the acceptance part of that breakup, and then you have to cope with whatever your feelings are, what's going on around you. If you're going to leave a job, you got to cope with the loss of some of the friends that you've made, whatever that is.
Or you lost a listing, or a buyer bought from somebody else, or
Absolutely.
Whatever, right? I mean, so I guess the question is how? Like, what kind of coping mechanisms do you recommend?
That's a great statement. Of course, coping with like losing a client or losing a situation or any of those things. We've all gone through that, and our first one seems to be particularly tough, right? So you communicate. You communicate with your team leaders. You communicate with your team. You communicate with other agents, or maybe you vent.
You vent, right? Venting is a huge. You talk to yourself.
Yeah.
You talk to other people, right? You come clean, right? You don't hold it inside.
Right. You gotta communicate and vent. You gotta do those things to to heal, but it's not even really about healing. It's just about growth, right? Some of these things in this business. And you know what? Let me take that back. It's not really too much about growth, because even as a veteran agent, I've seen veteran agents lose big deals, and it circles back and touches them in similar ways as it does to newer agents too, you know, where it sucks sometimes, and you're like, man, am I doing the right deal here? Am I in the right business? And so I take that back. It's not really just about growth, because we go through it in all different stages of real estate as well. So, but you cope. So that's the coping part when it comes to the book.
All right. Love it. Okay. Next.
This one's kind of one of my favorite ones that when I'm hired to go speak with real estate companies and teams, if they have me touch on just 2 of the dedicated 8, it's about responsibility. And responsibility is huge. You got to take responsibility for yourself, for your future, for your actions. You have to take responsibility for everything that you have going on. If you're going to try to accomplish your goals, you got to take responsibility for your time. You got to be intentional and purposeful with your time, right? And so in the book, I talk about how I've always wanted to own an Arco gas station. And that's a true story. I love the Arco gas station. I always wanted to own one. And so when I'm talking to somebody new in real estate, or somebody who's just hasn't hit their marks with their goals, I say, look, what if I handed you the keys to an Arco gas station right now? Brand new, here it is. What are you going to do to make it profitable? How much of your time, are you going to use to make it profitable? And, you know, I've asked this question several times, and the beginning answers are always the same. It's like, whatever it takes. I'm like, okay, that's right. Yeah, you're going to, whatever it takes to make it profitable. Sure. Let's be realistic. Let's break that down. How many hours a week? Oh, man, as many as it takes, 60, 70 hours, 80 hours, whatever it takes. So you're going to work there 24 hours? That's what you're telling me? That's unrealistic. You're not going to do that, right? And so it goes on until we break it down until we're like 40, 50 hours a week. We're like, okay, but how do you convince yourself to do that? You have to look in the mirror and say to yourself, man, I'm going to make this profitable. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to make it profitable. And as it relates to real estate, I feel that it's the same for an agent. We get our license, we're owning our own business, and we're like, how do we motivate ourselves? Well, you have to take responsibility. You have to wake up, you have to look in the mirror, and you have to be like, look, I'm going to put myself on a schedule. I'm going to get it to the office at 9 o'clock instead of 1 o'clock. Why ain't I busting out my goals? Well, you're getting to the office at 1 o'clock after you slept until 11, and you're trying to get on the phone by 3, and you're trying to get an appointment by 6, and it's just not working out for you because you're not taking responsibility for your time and for your business. So, and you're not taking action. So that's what responsibility really is about. If you're going to try to accomplish a goal in your life, you have to fully take responsibility and look in the mirror and say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to fight for myself. I'm going to be intentional and purposeful with my time. I'm going to time block. I'm going to set goals. I'm going to write down what I'm doing and what I'm going to look at the direction I want to go, and I'm going to follow it. And I'm taking responsibility to do it. And so that's why.
So it's sort of like action items, right? Putting, you know, it's like action items, or it's kind of like in my book, 6 Steps to 7 Figures, I talk about affirmations, of course, and then I say, you know, but you can't just affirm things, right? Like Jim Rohn says, affirmations without discipline are the beginning of delusion. And so for you, responsibility, right, is the discipline, right? I mean, you gotta be responsible, and you gotta move forward in that manner. And then if it's not working, you gotta own it. And by owning it, you're like, well, I wasn't responsible enough. What's up, brokers, team leaders, office managers, and rainmakers of teams? I got a question for you today. What are the 2 most frustrating things about running a real estate team? The 2 things that cause you more headaches than anything else. Think about it. The brokers I've talked to have all given me the same answer: recruiting and retention. If you're in the same boat, if nothing you've tried seems to work, I've got some good news. Your problem finding, recruiting, and retaining high-quality agents are about to be over. I'm launching my new Retoot course, a course that provides an in-depth first ever look at the recruiting and retention secrets of the industry's top recruiters. To kick off Retoot's launch, I'm offering the course along with 2 other high-value items at a super low price to podcast listeners. Since I'm throwing in 2 free items with my Retoot Secrets course, I'm going to simply call it my 1, 2, 3 discount package. Okay, so let me talk to you about the 1, 2, 3 discount package. In addition to Retoot, you're going to get a subscription for each of your teammates or anybody in your office to my Big Profit Weekly Jackpot emails, which are basically agents from around the world giving advice on how to increase your profit on a daily basis in this business. If your agents put these effective, easy to implement tips to use, their sales and most importantly, their profits will improve. Plus, I'll provide you with a year's worth of monthly sales meetings, content to have at your sales meeting so you don't have to struggle figuring out what to say to your agents or your team. I'm calling it my Lunch and Learn Sales Training Series. That's an entire year's worth of sales meetings that you won't have to plan and that your agents are guaranteed to get massive value from. So to recap, purchasing the 1, 2, 3 discount package gets you 1, my brand new Retoot course, 2, my Big Profit Agents weekly jackpot emails for everybody in your office, and 3, a year's worth of Lunch and Learn training sessions. If you want this limited time package, act fast and go to hibandigital.com/123. Real easy, hibandigital.com/123.
I like it. That's exactly right. And that's why I feel like the responsibility and action, because action is also one of the dedicated 8. It's actually right after goals, which is after responsibility. And, these dedicated 8 might be in some different orders for some people. You don't necessarily have to follow this order that I've put them in, but in my experience, this feels like the way the order should go, and that's how it's been in my own life, right? So once you take spirit, acceptance, coping, and responsibility, that's when you can really start looking at your goals, which is the next one, and start saying, okay, this is a realistic goal. This one's going to take some time. Here's some short-term goals that might lead to my big-term goals. And then after that, you're taking action. And then with all goals, I feel that there's risk in all goals that you set. There might be small risk that's calculated.
Always the risk of failure, and embarrassment,
Yep.
Right? Or risk of monetary risk. Real estate agents, I guess you're always taking risks as a real estate agent, and the more business you want to do, especially if you're team building, the more risks you're going to take, right? When it comes to not being able to control everything yourself.
Exactly. That's the thing that I see with teams the most is at what point do we take a risk to do the next thing? At what point do we hire more talent on our team and take that risk to manage more people? At what point do we take and get a listing coordinator on our team and take that risk to trust somebody to do what we do really well and put it in their hands in order to scale up with our team? That seems to be like one of the biggest things that I see in real estate when I'm coaching with teams is their inability to take risk because what they have has been working, and maybe they're at this plateau and they don't understand how to get to the next step. And the next step is learning to do leverage, right? And so, they're just a little leery about taking that risk for leverage. And so, I feel that would be a necessary risk, and it can be calculated. It doesn't have to be flip a coin and hope that it lands on heads when I get it back in my hand type of risk. It can be a calculated risk that hundreds of agents have successfully done across the country. That's one thing that I have seen in real estate so far when it comes to risk.
Yeah. Well, it makes a lot of sense. And then after risk, you got networking and then spirit. No, you started with spirit. So the last one, number 8's networking. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I feel like when you're accomplishing their goals, how many people have accomplished really their goals without any help from anybody? I don't feel like that's
Yeah.
I feel like you always need help, and how do you get that? Well, you have to go out and network. You know, you have to network with people that are smarter than you, better than you. Maybe some people that necessarily aren't. They're just on the same wavelength as you. You just have to network and get the word out. Like, for instance, this book and this interview with you right now, this is all about networking to take my goals to the next step, right? So I'm living the reset book right now in my own life by communicating and networking with you. The people that wrote the reviews on the back, these are high-level people doing high-level things in their own lives, but it just didn't all come together. I just didn't just do a text message and be like, hey, help me out. It's they see, the people in my life have seen the trajectory that I'm going, and they want to be supportive, and I'm trying to be supportive with them, and we're trying to work together and networking to make big goals happen, right? So I feel like that's happened in all of my life. Like getting out of prison, working in a mortgage company, I was surrounded by people that believed in me and was helping me move forward. Getting my real estate license, meeting Ben Kenny, like I didn't do any of this on my own. And that's kind of why I put it as the last one in the book, is because networking is a huge thing. And a lot of people think they have to do these things on their own. They think, oh, they won't help me. You know, I grew up in a very poor, with a family that was very negative towards people of wealth. And I was taking on that mindset at a younger age. And when I started kind of researching real estate and getting out and networking with people of wealth, my whole opinion changed. I found that the people of wealth really want to help give back and help people grow in their own lives so that they too can have a richer, better life. It's not really even all about that.
It was kind of that wrong opinion that your parents taught you, right? Like rich people are assholes, so then it's okay to rob one of them, right? They got you in jail in the first place, right?
You know, some would argue that that's probably very true.
You know what I mean? Like they're less human, so it's, you know what I mean? That attitude. Certainly, if you were raised of, hey, you want to get to know rich people and you want to embrace them and, you know, work for them for free, the opposite of stealing. Just
exactly.
To learn, you probably wouldn't have ended up where you did. But here's the question. So I love this chapter, right? We built our whole company, GoBundance, on on the premise of you are the 5 people that you hang around the most. You're the average of the 5 people that you hang around the most, and clearly you've consciously been raising your stock price, as a human being since you were released from jail, and, just surrounding yourself with people like Ben Kinney and myself and Tim Rode and whoever else, David Osborne and some people. And so the question is, like, how much of your time now do you think you're surrounding yourself with people that you can learn from and grow from and get ideas from and make more money from and become a better person from, versus surrounding yourself with the guys that you spent 17 years with in jail?
Well, I have a select few friends that I spend my time with that used to be locked up, and they're all successful. That's all I surround myself with now, is people who are
only the ones that are like, right. Because if you surrounded yourself with ones that, were recidivists, right, went back to a life of crime, they'd be pulling you down. Hey, Jeff, hey, what's down here? We can make some money,
Yeah, let's go rob this store for sure. So
yeah,
my days and times right now are filled with people who are taking control of their lives and moving forward and accomplishing goals, and some of them are of wealth and some of them aren't, but they're all moving towards giving back in some way.
Yeah, it's really an attitude thing, right? Because it's not, because certainly people reach different levels of their journey, right? Like, but if they have the attitude that they're going to set goals and achieve goals with integrity, those are good people to be around.
Yep. And I love that word, attitude. Actually, one of my favorite books that I've read was Attitude is Everything. It's a great book. And I believe in that 100%. It's really about your attitude. And that's what attracts me to individuals who are in my life. It's really about their attitude. Are they giving back? Are they changing people's lives? Are they trying to have a big life in their own way? And what are they doing to accomplish those goals? And that's what I love about people that I have in my life. I choose to be around people that choose to be around me. Number one, I don't want to be around people that don't like me or don't want to be around me. So I don't have time for that. And number two, I want to be around people who are accomplishing goals in their life and giving back and changing people's lives. And it's helped me keep a smile on my face, even in tough times. I went through a pretty tough part of this year in the beginning. And the reason I'm here doing an interview right now and having a book is because I've always kept that mindset and that attitude. So you touched on a strong word right there with attitude, for sure.
Yeah. Just one day at a time, right? You just got to keep moving forward and you know, what can I learn from this, right?
Absolutely.
What can I, you know, like Rock Thomas says, who I know you're friends with too, you know, what's right about this? What's good about this?
Yes. Yeah, I love Rock Thomas. I love his teachings. I love the I Am movement that he's part of. Actually, you guys are all part of it, the Go Abundance team. You know, if there was anything that I could give to somebody who says, man, I'm struggling with my goals, is there something, one tip or specific thing that you could tell me besides reading my book, Reset, would be, you know, write stuff down. Our friend Matt Aitchison has an awesome planner that he's putting together, the Rich Life Planner. You know, Go Abundance, you guys have that one sheet. I love that after I first met you, you sent me the one sheet that really made it to where you could visually see all your goals in one place and be accountable to them. Keller Williams has the 411 that I talk about in the book. Like, I would just say get accustomed to writing them down. Write down where you want to go and what you want to do, and look at that every day. I love that in your book you talked about affirmations and writing them down. And affirmations have been huge for me as well. And not even just affirmations, just what I want to do. And in the future, I want to close 5 transactions, and tell that to yourself every day. See it. You know, I used to have this, whiteboard that they sell at the dollar store. And I put it in my bathroom in front of my toilet. And I wrote down like all these affirmations on it so that I could always read them every day. No matter what, it was sitting right there staring me in the face, you know, and I put it on a whiteboard in case things change, right? I might have accomplished a couple goals.
No, I did the same thing. Yeah.
So I think it's awesome.
I still do my affirmation. You know, I listened to some this morning just on my Bluetooth on my phone. So yeah, never stop setting goals and never stop affirming.
Right.
Well, listen, Jeff, this has been a blast, dude. So cool to see you in Belize. I really hope that you blow up Keller Williams down there in Belize and make a difference there. And I know you will. Listen, as you know, everybody that comes on the show brings a free gift. And what I'm going to do with that free gift, I'm going to put it on hibandigital.com/Jeff Coates, the number 2. Jeff Coates, the number 2. And it's COATES.
No E.
No, just no E. That's what I meant to say. Yeah. No E. COATS. Number 2. And I'm also going to put in the Agent Success Toolbox, which can be found on hibandigital.com/toolbox. So what do you got for us today, bro?
Well, I put together, a lot of people that put together books, they want to give the first 2 chapters free. So what I've done is put together the first 3 chapters. I think it's really important to have, if somebody was just to pick up my book and pick up and read from the beginning to the 3rd chapter, I feel like you get some good content there. And so that's what I got. I hooked you up with the first 3 chapters of the book, Reset.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. So pick it up there, guys. And I'm also going to put in the toolbox, and you can also get the entire toolbox, which is 100 other things from other guests just by texting the word toolbox to 444-999. I'm also going to put all of Jeff's contact information, his social media links. I'm going to put a copy of the link to get the full book if you want to support Jeff and grab a full copy or grab several copies and hand them out. Jeff, listen, this has been a blast. I really appreciate you coming on so candidly and sharing your life story and your life's journey. And I'm so excited to see it changing and moving forward. So let's stay in touch.
For sure. I appreciate you having me on here. It's always awesome to be in communication with you, Pat.
And now I have a friend that lives in Belize. So if I go to Belize, I'll look you up.
Come buy a property. You're all in. Vacation.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Real Estate Rockstars. If this free content is giving you a ton of value, I want to ask a small favor in return. I need you to pull out your pointing finger and hit the subscribe button. Yes, hit subscribe, please. The more subscribers that we get on Real Estate Rockstars, the better guests are attracted to the shows. We'll get more guests from the top companies, from the top teams, and even more celebrity guests like Robert Kiyosaki and Barbara Corcoran. Also, if you're not a member of our free Facebook group, go to Real Estate Rockstars Radio right on Facebook and join the conversation. I'm on there myself on FaceTime Lives, and we have a lot of communications and questions about the show, and I'd love to see you there. And it's free. People ask me all the time, where am I on social media? I'm real easy to find. Just type in my name. My IG is I am Pat Hyben. It is blowing up on Instagram, adding tons of subscribers, and I'm on there probably twice a day. So definitely follow me on Instagram, as well as everywhere else. Thanks again for listening, and keep rocking.